Our story began on a bright sunny day, in a city not far away. There was an apartment building there. It was run down, but still somewhat classy. It catered to people on a challenged budget. In front of the building was a sign that read vacancy, 2 bedrooms. A Mercedes with dark tinted windows drove by and then slowed down and stopped. It backed up. One of the tinted windows rolled down and a driver inside surveyed the sign and the building. After a few moments, the Mercedes pulled over to the curb and parked. Meanwhile, on the second floor of the building, Kelly, the building manager, was at her computer. Piano music being played by one of the tenants could be heard through the window. Kelly was in her early 30s, smart, caring, down to earth, but totally lacking in self-confidence. She was looking over job leads at an employment site. She scrolled down the list of potential jobs with a sour look on her face.
No.
Suddenly, Kelly stopped. Her cursor hovered over one for a florist.
I like flowers. How much does it pay?
She clicked on it.
$15 an hour?
Just then, Kelly's phone rang. She checked the caller ID. It read front door.
Hello?
Hi, I am at front door. I need to speak with building manager, please.
You're speaking to her. What can I do for you?
I drive by and see you have sign that say apartment for rent. Is unit still available?
Yes, would you like to see it?
If it's not trouble?
Sure, I'll be right up.
Great.
A few moments later, Kelly entered the lobby. Through the glass door, she saw a woman. She was tall, beautiful, about 25 years old, with long, slender legs and piercing dark eyes.
Hi, I'm Kelly, the building manager.
The woman looked Kelly up and down and smiled.
Natalya, pleasure to meet you.
Come on in.
A few moments later, they stepped out of the elevator on the second floor.
The building's a little old, but don't let that scare you. The units are huge.
Oh, no worry. I love old buildings. They have character. I cherish this.
Right? That's what I'm talking about.
Does owner allow pets?
I'm afraid not.
Good. Always too many cats in apartment buildings. I hate cats. They're sneaky.
I love your accent, by the way. Russian?
Yes, but I have lived abroad for many, many years.
That is so cool. Ms. Horowitz, one of our tenants on the 3rd floor, is from Russia too.
Ah, interesting. One moment.
Natalya paused and held up a finger. She listened to the live piano music for a moment and smiled.
This piece, I know it well. It's the Goldberg Variations by Bach. It's one of my faves.
That's Ms. Horowitz playing it. The old lady I was telling you about. She's a piano teacher. My son Atticus takes lessons from her. She's pretty good, right?
She's not bad. For amateur.
Sounds like you know music. Do you play?
No. Dance. I am professional ballerina.
Wow. That's so dope. It must be fate that you came here.
What do you mean?
You'll see. You're gonna love this apartment.
Kelly took out a set of keys and unlocked the door of the apartment next to hers. Natalya and Kelly stepped inside. Natalya looked around. The unit was clean, very large, with hardwood floors.
Ah, spacious.
Right? But here's the best part. Check this out.
Kelly directed Natalya to a room and opened the door. As soon as she looked in, Natalya's eyes lit up.
I can't believe this. This is amazing.
The room had been converted into a dance rehearsal space.
The previous tenant was a dancer too.
One wall of the room was mirrors, and a dancer's practice bar had been installed there.
What are the odds, right?
It must be fate.
Suddenly, they heard a loud knock at the door.
Knock, knock. Anybody home?
Kelly stepped into the hallway. Frank was poking his head in the front door. Frank was a middle-aged Italian man who bore a vague resemblance to the actor Joe Pesci.
What do you need, Frank?
Nothing. I just came by to meet the new tenant.
She's not the new tenant yet.
Natalya stepped out of the rehearsal room.
Who is this?
Natalya, this is Frank Pesto. He lives down the hall.
Hiya, Pesto.
Please, just call me Frank. Where are you from, Natalya?
Russia.
That's what I figured. I always wanted to go there, but the closest I've come is playing a commie spy on an episode of Magnum P.I.
Natalya looked confused.
Frank's a retired actor.
Who's retired? I had an audition just the other day for a Jamba Juice commercial.
Natalya subtly winked at Kelly.
You know, it's funny. I thought you looked familiar. What have I seen you in?
Well, my biggest role was in The Bronx Tale. I was one of the mob guys Chaz Palminteri calls in to kick some ass in the big fight scene in the bar.
No shit. Oh my God, I remember that. That was amazing.
Frank beamed. He turned to Kelly.
I like her. When do you move in?
Frank, Natalya hasn't even filled out an application yet. Do you want to?
I'd love to.
Really? Great.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Well, it still has to be approved.
Regan better, or I'll kick his ass. We need some pretty young faces. There's practically nothing but old farts living here.
Look who's talking. Frank, can you run along so Natalya and I can do the paperwork?
Yeah, sure. I'm going. It was nice meeting, neighbor.
Likewise.
Kelly escorted Frank to the front door. Meanwhile, Natalya wandered over to the back window. She parted the mini blinds with her finger and looked out. Down below, she could see a high concrete wall around the back of the apartment building. There was a vacant lot just beyond it. Some homeless people were milling about an encampment there. Natalya stared at them as a small smile crept across her pretty face. Moments later, Natalya finished signing the rental application. Kelly took it from her and gave it the once-over.
Everything looks good. I'll send this over to the owner, Mr. Reagan. If he approves, you'll be all set. I'll just need a security deposit.
How much is?
$200, but you'll get it back if the owner doesn't approve you.
Natalya reached into her purse and pulled out a big wad of cash. Kelly's eyes bulged.
$400. Keep extra for yourself if you can do me a big favor. And not show this apartment to anyone else until I get it.
I really don't feel comfortable doing that.
Come on. Stop being such a prude, Kelly. Take it.
Natalya closed her hand over Kelly's.
What the fuck? If your credit is good, I'm sure you'll get in anyway.
Thank you. You know, I like you already, Kelly. I think we're going to be wonderful neighbors.
I hope so.
Give call as soon as owner decide. I have to split, but hopefully this is not our last meeting. До свидания. That means goodbye.
Natalya put on her sunglasses and walked away. Kelly watched her go, smiling. A few hours later, Kelly picked up her 13-year-old son, Atticus, from school.
Hey, Mom.
How was school today, kiddo?
Fine.
Anything exciting happen?
Nope.
You have homework?
A little.
Need any help?
No.
Atticus turned away from Kelly and stared out the window. They drove in silence for a while. It's always like this, Kelly thought to herself. It had started after the divorce. A wall had come up between them. Maybe it was just him turning into a teenager. Either way, it hurt.
Hey, Addie, there's something I need to talk to you about.
Yeah?
I spoke with your father. There's an issue. He can't have you over at his place this weekend.
Why?
His firm is sending him to Berlin for the next 2 months. It's a huge project that could make his career. He said he's really, really sorry. He wants to talk to you on the phone when we get home. You good?
It's fine.
Atticus stared out the window silently.
Hey, I got something that might cheer you up.
Kelly reached for a plastic bag on the seat next to her. She tossed it over to Atticus.
Check that out.
Atticus opened the bag and pulled out a brand new video game.
Dude.
It's the one you wanted, right?
Yeah, but you didn't steal this, did you?
No! Why would you say that?
You said money was tight, remember?
It is, but lucky for us, I found some cash stashed in a drawer I forgot about. Think of it as an early birthday gift. Are you stoked?
I know you're just doing this to make me feel better about Dad.
Maybe. You got a problem with that?
Atticus looked at the video game, shook his head.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. Enjoy. There's just one precondition.
I know. I can't play it until I finish all my homework.
And your piano lesson.
Ugh, do I really have to go today?
Yes!
I hate fucking piano.
Excuse me? Language.
Sorry, but give me one good reason why you're making me do these dumb lessons.
Learning music makes you smart.
I'm already smart. I get straight A's.
It's making you smarter. It helps you process math. Plus, more importantly, it's gonna get you laid.
Mom.
Legit. Women love musicians. Trust me, when you're the dude rocking the keyboard, chicks are gonna think you are so effing hot. You are gonna thank me one day.
Whatever.
And so it was that a short time later, Kelly and Atticus trudged up to the 3rd floor of the apartment building for a piano lesson. As they arrived, they saw Miss Horowitz, an elderly Jewish woman, struggling to put a garbage bag in the trash chute. She was caught in a fit of coughing. Kelly turned to Atticus.
Go help Miss Horowitz. She needs a hand.
Here, let me get that for you, Miss H.
Sorry. No.
Are you okay?
I'll be all right. I just got a little winded. I'll be fine. Thank you, Atticus. Are you ready for your lesson?
Yes, Miss H.
Good.
Kelly and Atticus escorted Miss Horowitz to her apartment. She opened the door, but as she entered, she stopped, kissed her hand, and touched a small rectangular object hanging in the doorframe. It had writing on it in Hebrew.
Why do you always kiss that thing when you go inside?
It's a mezuzah. A piece of the Torah is inside. It reminds us Jews that our homes are holy places, and we should act accordingly when we enter.
Cool.
I'll send him down when I'm done torturing him.
Sounds good. Have fun.
Atticus scowled. Miss Horowitz smiled and closed the door. Later that afternoon, Frank summoned Kelly to the laundry room to look at a broken washing machine.
It's that one. I put my coin in, push the button, but nothing happens. You need to talk to Regan and get that son of a bitch to buy a new one. That cheap-ass slumlord never replaces a damn thing around here.
Did you try hitting it?
Yeah, and I kicked it too. It's toast, I'm telling you.
Kelly stood next to the machine and bumped it with her hip. The washing machine suddenly sprung to life. Kelly looked at Frank and smirked.
It's all in the hips, bro.
I don't know what I'd do without you.
Suddenly, Kelly's expression changed. She had noticed the wall. It was covered with scratches, as if an animal had clawed at it. Piles of paint chips were laying on the floor.
Whoa, what happened here?
Fuck if I know. It was like that when I showed up.
I bet it's Marie.
Vix Marie?
Kelly nodded.
She's probably been sneaking in at night again.
Why would she do that to the wall?
She's on meth, Frank. It makes you do weird-ass shit.
An expression of pity and sadness washed over Frank's face. He shook his head.
I've known Marie since she was a little girl. It just breaks your heart. Poor Vic is worried sick about her. You know he comes down here every night to leave food and clothes for her?
He really shouldn't do that. That's why she's coming around.
It's his kid. What do you want him to do?
Kelly looked at Frank, but said nothing. He had a point. The next morning, a moving van was parked in front of the building. Natalya was supervising the movers as they loaded her stuff. She was wearing cowboy boots and a short, sexy dress.
Be careful! Those chairs are priceless.
Yeah, we got it, lady.
They bit seen.
Just then, a black sports car roared up and stopped. Natalya marched over to the sports car. A handsome young dude, wearing sunglasses and an expensive jumpsuit, got out, shaking his hair in the window reflection.
You were supposed to be here an hour ago. Where the fuck have you been?
I told you I had business to take care of.
Natalya started barking at him in Russian. Nearby in the lobby of the building, a big bear of a man, Vic, came ambling out of the elevator and joined Frank, who was getting his mail.
Hey, Brando, you up for cards tonight? Sure, why not?
Someone moving in?
Frank gestured over to Natalya through the lobby windows.
A Russian ballerina. That's her there. Boy, I'd love to get inside her tutu.
Meanwhile, back outside, Natalya and Dmitriy finally stopped arguing. Dmitriy turned and looked at the building and made a face.
Что за демо? What a shithole.
Exactly. That's why it's perfect.
Dmitriy considered this for a moment, then smiled. Moments later, Natalya and Dmitriy entered the lobby. Frank waved him over.
Hey, Natalya, come over here. Say hello to Vic. He lives here up on the 3rd floor. Vic's one of the most decorated cops in NYPD history.
Really? Huh. Wow. Knowing that, I feel safer already.
Welcome to the building. Natalya, is it?
That's right. And this is my fiancé, Dmitriy.
Nice to meet you.
Frank Pesto.
Pesto? You mean like this sauce?
It's a stage name.
Dmitriy shook his head, then said something to Natalya in Russian that made her laugh. They walked off, giggling to themselves.
Nice girl.
Yeah, but what's she doing with a creep like that?
Vic shrugged. As night fell, a light rain began to fall on the windows of Kelly's apartment. Atticus was playing his brand new video game at the TV. In the kitchen, Kelly was scraping the price tag off a bottle of wine. Music could be heard coming through the wall she shared with Natalya's apartment.
I'll be right back, Addie.
Sounds good.
Kelly exited her unit and went over to Natalya's apartment next door. After a moment or two, Natalya opened the door. She was wearing a dance leotard. She was sweaty.
Oh, good evening, Kelly. Sorry I'm so wet. I was practicing. Whew.
Sorry to interrupt. I just came by to give you a little housewarming gift.
Kelly held up the bottle of wine.
Ah, you're so sweet.
It's the least I could do after you were so generous.
That was nothing, really. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Come, you must share a glass with me. Please, I insist.
All right, but just one glass.
Kelly and Natalya entered the apartment. Dmitriy was in the living room, unpacking a moving box.
Dmitriy, this is Kelly. She's building manager.
Hello. Where do you want me to put this shit?
In the bedroom.
Dmitriy took some items and walked off towards the bedroom.
Just a moment. Let me find a bottle opener.
As Natalya went to fetch a bottle opener, Kelly scanned the apartment. She noticed that most of Natalya's furniture was expensive, but very old.
Wow, you have some lovely antiques.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm into the oldies, as they say. Old things have a certain charm. That's what drew me to this building. It has such a unique character.
That's one way of putting it.
Natalya popped the cork.
Now, where did I put the stupid wine glasses?
Kelly looked around and noticed an ornate wooden box sitting on a table. There was a small door at the front of the box that was swung open, but the inside was empty. Kelly studied the box for a moment, admiring the intricate carvings in the wood. Natalya returned, holding 2 overfilled glasses of wine.
Whoa, fill her up.
If it's too much, I pour some back in bottle.
No, it's okay.
Natalya raised her glass.
To the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Cheers.
Cheers.
They clinked glasses, but some of the wine sloshed out and spilled on the floor, splattering Natalya's white ballet slippers.
Damn it!
Natalya set her glass down quickly and bent down to wipe the red wine off her ballet slippers.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to splash your shoes.
No, the fault is mine. Quick, hand me tissue from table.
Kelly handed Natalya a tissue from a box on the table. Natalya bent down and gently, carefully, rubbed the wine stains off the shoes.
Are they expensive?
No, but they are very precious to me. They were given by my grandmother.
Oh, shoot.
Natalya took the shoes off and examined them carefully.
Don't feel bad. It's okay. I have appointment to have these refurbished soon. Anyway, so...
They must mean a lot to you.
You have no idea.
Dmitriy called out in Russian from the bedroom.
Natalya, you're born again. You're born again.
Dmitriy is hungry. He's such a big baby. I better feed him.
No worries. Do svidaniya.
Very good, Kelly. Do svidaniya.
Natalya closed the door. Kelly headed back to her apartment as the sound of booming thunder was heard. It was the middle of the night. Kelly was fast asleep in her bed. A flash of lightning lit up the bedroom windows. But above the storm, the sound of something metal banging could be heard. Kelly stirred in her bed and opened her eyes. She looked over at the clock on the nightstand. It read 3:38 a.m. Kelly went over to the window and peered out. She could see the back gate that led to the courtyard was wide open and swinging back and forth in the wind, smashing against the fence.
Damn it.
A few moments later, Kelly made her way through the wind and rain, walking across the courtyard with a flashlight. She arrived at the back gate and closed it, making sure it was locked. Kelly turned to leave when, suddenly, she heard footsteps and a faint female voice whispering from somewhere. She looked around. The sounds seemed to be coming from the nearby parking garage. Kelly peered inside the garage. It was dark, except for a small bit of illumination from a flickering fluorescent light.
Hello? Is someone there?
There was no response. Kelly descended a small flight of stairs and entered the garage area. She shined her light around, but didn't see anyone. She went over to the laundry room and opened the door and peered inside. She didn't see anyone in there either, but the beam of her flashlight caught an object on the floor. It was a mini backpack. Kelly bent down and picked it up. The mini backpack had cartoon aliens and flying saucers embroidered on it. A knowing look crossed Kelly's face. Just then, a dark figure stepped out of the shadows behind her. Her attacker grabbed the backpack and tried to rip it out of her hands.
Give it! It's mine!
Let go of me!
Kelly shoved her to the floor. Her attacker lay there on the ground, cowering.
I'm sorry, please, don't hurt me.
Kelly flipped on the light. Laying before her was a young girl in her 20s. She was pretty, but she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Kelly recognized her immediately. It was Vic's daughter, Marie.
Marie! What the fuck? Please, don't call the cops. I had nowhere else to go.
You attacked me!
I'm so sorry, Kelly. I didn't know it was you. I just wanted my backpack back. I didn't come in here to steal shit. I swear. It was cold and wet. I didn't know where else to go.
Kelly noticed a large paper bag on top of a nearby washing machine. Marie was written on the front of it. Kelly opened up the brown paper bag and looked inside. It had food and clothes in it.
My dad left that for me.
I know, he's worried sick about you. You should go up to his apartment. I'm sure he'd let you in.
I can't face him. Please? Can I just stay here until the storm passes? I promise. I'll bail as soon as the rain stops. I really need my bag. Can I have it back, please?
Why? Is your shit in there?
Marie hung her head in shame and started to cry. Kelly looked at the pouring rain. She sighed.
You can stay here if you promise not to tear up the walls again.
I won't. I promise.
You need to get into rehab, Marie.
I know.
And the next time you sneak in, at least shut the back gate. The banging woke me up.
I didn't leave it open. I helped the wall.
A curious expression crossed Kelly's face. That's weird, she thought to herself. She turned and started walking out, but she noticed a pair of wet footprints leading out of the garage to the stairwell. Kelly walked up the stairs, following the trail of wet footprints. They led up to the second floor, where they disappeared under Natalya's door. Kelly stared at them for a moment, before unlocking her door and heading inside. Kelly climbed back into her bed. She lay there for a moment and tried to drift off. But gradually she became aware of faint voices and classical music coming through the wall she shared with Natalya's apartment.
Don't ballerinas need their beauty sleep?
Kelly sighed and put a pillow over her head. Suddenly she heard what sounded like a man's muffled scream. Kelly sat up in bed, staring at the wall. The classical music stopped. Kelly crept out of bed and went over to the wall. She put her ear to it and listened carefully. Faintly, she could hear the sound of Natalya humming a cheery tune. Then everything went silent. After listening for a while, Kelly finally decided to head back to bed. But she didn't sleep. The next morning, Kelly was in the courtyard cleaning up. It was littered with leaves and trash blown in from the storm. Suddenly she heard a loud voice and looked up. On the open-air balcony above her, she could see Frank arguing with his girlfriend Tami as she stormed out of his apartment.
Go fuck yourself, Frank.
What? I was just making an innocent suggestion. You don't have to take it so personal. A lot of women get plastic surgery.
You should look in the mirror, Frank. If anyone needs a nose job, it's you.
Jesus, calm down. Don't go.
Tami ignored him and kept walking. Frank sighed and shook his head.
Duh, women.
Frank slinked back to his apartment and slammed the door. Kelly shook her head and headed towards the garage. Kelly entered the garage and went over to the laundry room. She opened the door and poked her head in. Marie was gone, but Vic, her father, was standing there. He looked startled when he saw Kelly.
Morning, Kel. Boy, that was some crazy storm we had last night, huh?
Yep, sure was. Can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. What's up?
Well, I had an encounter with Marie last night. I came down here to close the back gate, and I saw Marie's mini backpack lying on the ground. Marie thought I was taking it, and she attacked me.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
I'm fine, Vic. I don't think she meant to hurt me, but I can't let this continue. I know you want to help her by leaving her stuff, but it's kind of encouraging her to sneak in. She's not in a good place.
You're right. It's just so hard, you know?
I know.
When you saw her, how'd she look?
The same. I tried to get her to go up to your place, but she refused.
Thanks for trying. I appreciate it. I won't leave no more stuff down here, I promise.
Thanks.
Vic sighed and walked away, wiping a tear from his eye. Kelly watched him go, feeling terrible for him. Just then, Kelly heard a bark. She turned and saw a medium-sized dog whimpering and pawing at the back gate. Kelly went over to it. The dog barked at her and wagged its tail. Kelly let the dog sniff her hand through the gate, and then patted it on the head.
Oh, that a boy? What are you doing here? You lost?
Just then, a homeless man approached, calling out to the dog.
Jakey! Hey, Jakey boy! Jakey!
The homeless man came up to the gate and started petting the pooch.
Oh, there you are, Jakey. I thought I'd lost you.
Jakey? That's your dog's name?
Yeah, but he ain't mine. My buddy Jesse's his real owner. I'm trying to find him. We camp out next to each other in the vacant lot over there. Jess went out last night to take a pee, but he never came back. I'm kind of worried about him. It's not like him to leave Jakey alone. Jakey ran over here as soon as I let him off his leash. I'm thinking maybe he picked up on Jesse's scent. You haven't seen him around here, have you?
I don't think so. What does your friend look like?
Yeah, he's a big, scrappy-looking white dude with brown hair. He was wearing a red flannel jacket.
Kelly shook her head.
Huh. Weird. Well, if you see him, let him know Mike is looking for him.
Will do.
All right, thanks. Come on, Jakey.
At that moment, Natalya stepped out of the elevator and started walking across the garage towards her Mercedes.
Hey, Natalya, wait up.
Morning, Kelly. How are you?
I'm okay. Listen, I have a question. Did you or Dmitriy go out the back gate last night?
Natalya looked confused.
No. Why?
It's nothing, just that someone left the back gate open. We need to keep it locked so we don't get unwanted visitors.
Smart, Kelly. I will keep this in mind.
The other reason I need to keep the gate shut is Marie. She's the daughter of one of the tenants. She used to live here, but she's got some chemical dependency issues.
Oh my, that's terrible.
Don't worry, she's harmless, but she likes to sneak into the laundry room at night from time to time.
Drugs are such scourge.
They are. Her dad, Vic, keeps leaving her food and clothes. I had to ask him to stop because I really can't let her hang out here.
Kelly looked guilty. A sympathetic look crossed Natalya's face.
Of course not, Kelly. But you feel like shit about it, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. It's not your fault, Kelly. You have duty to protect other tenants, but you care. You're a good person, Kelly.
Thanks.
Natalya patted Kelly on the arm and smiled.
До свидания.
See ya.
As Natalya turned away and headed to her car, a subtle smile crept across her face. Later that afternoon, Kelly sat at her computer, going through her email. She scrolled down the list of spam, deleting. Then she stopped on a message from Rose's Floral Shop. Kelly opened up the email and read the first line. Thank you very much for your application, but your qualifications do not meet our needs at this time. Kelly slumped.
Great. Not even good enough to be a stupid fucking flower arranger.
Atticus entered the room, holding a baseball mitt and a tennis ball.
Hey, Mom. I finished my homework. Can I go down to the garage and throw the ball?
Okay, but come back in 30 minutes. Dinner's almost ready.
I will.
Just then, the doorbell rang.
I'll get it.
Miss Horowitz was standing there.
Hello, Atticus.
Hey, Miss H.
What are you up to? Did you practice your scales?
Yes.
Twice?
Yes.
Good boy.
Atticus walked by her and headed to the stairs.
Have a good evening, Miss H.
You too.
Kelly came to the door.
What's up?
Miss Horowitz held up a check.
My rent.
Ah, thanks.
Kelly took it, but noticed that Miss Horowitz was struggling to breathe.
Are you all right?
Miss Horowitz clutched her chest and shook her head.
Oh, sorry. I just need a moment to catch my breath. I'm getting too old. Can you do something about that?
No, you can just leave the check in the rent box upstairs. You don't have to schlep all the way down here.
I need the fresh air. With my heart condition, I never get out of my apartment anymore.
Just then, Natalya stepped out of her apartment.
Hey, Kelly, how goes it?
Good. Oh, Natalya, this is Ms. Horowitz, my son's piano teacher. Remember I told you about her?
Natalya smiled at Miss Horowitz.
Ah, so you're the one whose beautiful playing I always hear. Kelly says such wonderful things about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Thank you. Are you a musician too?
No, but I have great love for music. I am a ballerina.
Natalya's from Russia, just like you.
Really, you don't say. But I wouldn't call myself Russian per se. I was born there. But I'm a Jew, through and through.
You speak Russian, though.
More or less. Unfortunately, it's been so long, I've forgotten most of it. Where are you from?
Bukino. It's a nothing piece of shit town near Nizhny Novgorod. But it's home, you know?
Home is where the heart is.
So true.
So, you're a ballerina, huh? Where'd you train?
In St. Petersburg, with the Vaganova.
Miss Horowitz's face lit up.
The Vaganova? Wow.
Yes. But I leave after a few years to tour with private company.
Where have you performed?
All over Europe, Asia too. But I've not been on stage in several years. You see, sadly, I was injured in a car accident.
Oh no! I am so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It's okay. Recovery is long and difficult, but I work hard and now I am ready to be diva again.
Well, if you ever need an accompanist while you practice, don't hesitate to ask.
Oh, sweet of you. I might just take you up on offer. Anyway, I should go. Dmitriy waits. It was nice to meet you.
You too.
Natalya walked away. Miss Horowitz turned to Kelly.
Wow, she's something.
Kelly nodded, feeling a tinge of jealousy. Meanwhile, as this conversation was going on upstairs, Atticus was in a small side area next to the garage. He was tossing his tennis ball against the side of the building, then catching the rebound in his mitt. Atticus threw the ball up, but this time he missed it. It rolled past him into the garage.
Ah, shit.
Atticus went down the stairs to retrieve it. Atticus entered the dimly lit garage and looked around. He kneeled down and looked underneath the cars, but still didn't see his ball. Just then, he heard footsteps. He saw a dark figure standing in the shadows across the garage.
Hello?
The figure stepped into the light. It was Dmitriy. Hello.
Hi. I'm just looking for my ball. It rolled down here. Have you seen it?
Dmitriy lifted up his hand. He had Atticus's tennis ball.
Is this it?
Atticus nodded. Dmitriy smiled and held the ball out.
Come get it.
Toss it to me.
I can't. My arm is bad. Come take. Don't worry. I won't bite.
Somewhat reluctantly, Atticus began walking towards Dmitriy. As Atticus approached, Dmitriy extended the ball out to him.
There you go.
But just as Atticus reached for it, Dmitriy raised his other hand up, as if to grab his wrist. Just then a figure stepped in front of Dmitriy. It was Natalya. She gave Dmitriy an icy stare.
What the fuck are you doing?
Dmitriy shrugged innocently.
Nothing. I was just giving the kid his ball back.
Natalya slapped him across the face. Dmitriy took it, but his eyes blazed with hatred. Natalya took the ball out of his hands and gave it back to Atticus.
Here. There's your ball. You better run upstairs now. I think your mother wants you.
Okay, thanks.
And be careful. Garage is not a good place for kids to play at night.
Atticus turned and left.
See you around.
Idiot.
It was 1 a.m., and in Kelly's apartment, she was sitting in her bed, working on her laptop, redoing her resume. She let out a big yawn, but kept working. Meanwhile, on the side of the building, a familiar-looking mini backpack with cartoon aliens was tossed over the metal fence. The backpack was followed by Marie, who jumped over the fence and landed on the pavement. Marie grabbed her mini backpack and headed into the garage. She was soaking wet and shivering from the cold. She headed into the laundry room. Marie closed the door behind herself and looked around for the brown paper bag her dad usually left for her, but she didn't see it anywhere.
Fuck!
Marie opened one of the dryers and discovered some clothes left behind. She removed a shirt and used it to dry herself off a bit. Still shivering, Marie opened up her mini backpack and removed a baggie with white rocks inside of it and a glass pipe. Marie loaded up her pipe with the meth and lit it with a mini torch, melting the rocks. She took a big hit. A look of euphoria washed over her face. She removed a sketchbook from her mini bag and started to furiously draw. But as she scribbled, the lines on the page began to blur and distort. Marie's eyes fluttered.
What the fuck did they cut with this?
Marie couldn't hold onto her sketchbook and pen. She closed her eyes, and they fell from her hands onto the floor. Just then, Marie heard the sound of the laundry room door opening. She looked up and stared at someone.
Can you help me? I'm so cold. I dropped my pen.
A woman's hand reached down, picked up the pen, and handed it back to Marie.
There you go.
Thanks.
Marie shivered and closed her eyes again. Natalya gently brushed Marie's cheek.
Oh, poor baby. You look like a half-drowned kitten. Let's go inside where you can be safe and warm.
You're so nice.
Suddenly, Marie found herself being lifted off the ground. Blurry images danced before her eyes. Marie saw the flickering lights of the garage, then the stairs, then the antique furniture in Natalya's dimly lit apartment. Marie caught a glimpse of Natalya opening up the decorative wooden box.
What's in there?
Something very special. Look, I show you.
Marie looked down, and her face lit up. Natalya was wearing a pair of beautiful, bright red ballet slippers.
Those are fire.
Natalya whispered into her ear.
Would you like to hear some music?
Sure, as long as it's not Swedish death metal. I hate that shit.
Me too. This is real music.
Dmitriy placed a vinyl record on an old turntable. The needle dropped, and classical music began to play. Marie smiled and waved her arms in time to the music.
I like this. It's so pretty. I feel like I'm floating on a cloud.
Natalya took up a position in front of Marie. She spread her arms wide and then began to dance.
Oh man, dude. You look just like the ballerina on this music box I had as a kid. I used to wind her up and watch her spin for hours. Am I dreaming?
Natalya rubbed her cheek and whispered in her ear.
Yes, darling. It's all just a beautiful dream. Now watch. I'll dance for you, just like your ballerina.
And Natalya spun like a ballerina on top of a music box. Dmitriy crept up behind Marie with a beguiling smile on his face. Natalya walked slowly towards her with a soft, almost sympathetic expression. Marie looked up at Natalya and smiled, but then, suddenly, her smile faded and her eyes filled with terror as she saw something unspeakable unfolding in front of her. She tried to let out a scream, but Dmitriy covered her mouth. She struggled, but she couldn't break free from his grip. Natalya whispered in her ear.
Don't struggle. It will be over quickly.
In Kelly's room, Marie's muffled scream could be heard faintly by Kelly. She looked up from her laptop and stared at the wall. Concerned, Kelly got up from the bed and went over to the wall. She put her ear to it and listened. Suddenly there was a thud. The music abruptly stopped. Then there was silence. Kelly stared at the wall, not sure what to do. Finally, she went back to her bed, went back to work. The next morning, Kelly entered the garage, yawning. She headed over to the laundry room, but as she approached, she discovered Vic standing inside. He was holding Marie's sketchbook in his hand.
Morning, Vic.
Oh, hey, Kel.
How's it going?
Not so good. I found this laying on the floor.
Vic held up Marie's sketchbook.
It's Marie's.
She must have spent the night in there again.
Thing is, Marie's very attached to this book. Her mother gave it to her when she was in art school, right before she passed from cancer. She'd never leave it lying around. I'm worried something might have happened to her.
Maybe she was a little out of it and left it by accident?
Yeah, maybe.
Vic thought for a moment.
Can I ask a big favor? I know you don't want Marie coming around, but could I leave this in a bag for her with some clean clothes? If Marie comes around and gets it, then I'll know she's all right. It'd make me feel a whole lot better.
Kelly looked into Vic's sad eyes. It was hard to say no.
Sure, Vic.
Thanks. You're a sweetheart.
No worries.
Kelly closed the door to the laundry room and walked away. A month went by. Every day Kelly would check on the brown paper bag that Vic left for Marie, but the sketchbook was never disturbed, the clothes never used, the food never eaten. It was around that time that Kelly was walking down the street when she noticed a flyer taped up to her telephone pole. It featured a picture of a man wearing a red flannel jacket and a familiar-looking little dog. The text below it read, "Have you seen me?" Kelly walked past the flyer and approached the vacant lot behind the building where the homeless encampment was located. As she entered the area, she noticed that some of the residents were packing up their tents and gear. Kelly surveyed the area and spotted the homeless man who came up to the back gate with the dog looking for his missing friend. He was in the middle of breaking down his tent.
Hello there. I'm Kelly. Do you remember me?
Oh, yeah, sure. You're the lady who manages the building over there. I'm Mike, by the way. You know Jakey.
Mike gestured to the small dog laying on the ground at his feet. It looked sad.
I'm guessing your friend didn't come back?
Mike shook his head.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks. What can I do for you?
Well, funny enough, I'm trying to find a missing friend of mine, too.
That right?
Her name's Marie. She's in her early 20s, blonde hair.
A homeless woman standing nearby suddenly chimed in.
Marie's missing too? Fuck.
You know her?
Yeah, nice kid. She used to hang here. How long she's been gone?
Couple of weeks.
Another one. See, someone is targeting us. Tell her, Mike.
Yeah, 5 people from our little community. That's why everyone's leaving.
It ain't safe here.
Have you told the cops?
Pfft, like they give a shit. I hope you find Marie, but I'm telling you, ladies, shit ain't regular around here. Watch your back.
Mike went back to packing up his tent. Kelly looked disturbed. Dmitriy sat in his car, listening to classical music to pass the time. He was parked in a nondescript alley between 2 abandoned buildings. Next to him on the passenger seat was a shoebox with a Nike logo on it. As Natalya found out about this, Dmitriy knew he'd be in deep shit. Still, he didn't give a shit. He needed a release from the tedium. She had her hobbies and he had his. It was fair. Dmitriy looked up as a 15-year-old teenage boy entered the alley, looking around cautiously. Dmitriy flashed the lights on his sports car to get the teen's attention. He opened the door and stepped out, smiling. The boy asked him if he was Boris the sneaker pimp. Dmitriy nodded. He asked if he had the kicks. Dmitriy opened up the shoebox and held up a pair of rare sneakers. The teenage boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of cash. Dmitriy beckoned him over. As soon as the teenage boy came close, Dmitriy pounced on him. In one quick move, Dmitriy pulled the boy behind the car door and got both hands around his throat. The teen's eyes bulged with shock and fear. He clawed at Dmitriy's hands, but he couldn't break his grip. By flailing around, the teen managed to scratch Dmitriy's face. Dmitriy grunted and squeezed down with all his might. There was a crunching sound, and the teen's legs went limp. This part was a necessity. It really wasn't what turned him on. For Dmitriy, the real thrill in all of this was the hunt. Dmitriy shoved the teen's body into the back of his car and pulled a blanket over it. Dmitriy went over to a rearview mirror and looked at the scratch on his face. He knew he was in deep shit. There was no hiding this from her. Still, it was worth it. For the taste of the hunt. Later that day, Kelly was at her computer. She opened up a tab and Googled missing persons in my area. A map appeared. It showed missing people in the city with a pin for their last known location. Kelly noticed there was a cluster of pins around the apartment building. Suddenly, Kelly heard muffled voices shouting. Something slammed against the wall. Then, there was a loud door slam. A moment later, Kelly heard frantic knocking on her door. She got up and answered it. Natalya stood in the doorway, completely distraught.
Kelly, I need you. It's emergency. My bathroom's flooding. I don't know how to stop water. Come, hurry.
Okay, I'm coming.
Natalya grabbed Kelly by the wrist and pulled her into her apartment. As Natalya and Kelly entered the apartment, Kelly noticed there was broken glass all over the floor.
Watch your step, I dropped glass.
As they arrived at the bathroom door, she noticed that the door had a fist-shaped hole in it. Kelly and Natalya went into the bathroom. A pool of water was covering the floor. Water was gushing out of the toilet.
Oh, crap!
See? I tell you. Do something.
We need to shut the water off.
Kelly went over to the toilet. She saw it had a crack in the basin. She got down on her knees and reached behind it and turned the water valve off.
I'll have to call the plumber. The basin is cracked. What happened? I heard you guys fighting.
Natalya stared at Kelly for a moment, then suddenly burst into tears. She threw her arms around Kelly.
Dmitry, you're right. We had a terrible fight. He kicked it.
Kelly gestured to the fist-sized hole in the bathroom door.
He do the door too?
He's such a fucking asshole sometimes.
Did he hit you?
No. He wouldn't dare. But he hurt me. He said such terrible things. He called me a self-centered cunt, the motherfucker, after all I'd done for him.
She punched the wall in frustration. Kelly tried to calm her down.
Easy. I know you're upset, but let's try to calm down. There's already enough damages here.
Natalya looked at Kelly and nodded.
You're right. I'm so sorry. I have bad anger issues. I admit it. I need to calm down. Can you sit and talk with me? It will help.
Sure.
Kelly and Natalya took a seat on the sofa.
Men. They're such idiots sometimes.
Yep, they sure are.
You were married, weren't you?
Yes.
Why did you divorce?
Kelly was hesitant to answer.
Never mind. I should not ask. This is too personal.
It's okay. He cheated on me.
Oh, no. You poor thing. You must have been devastated.
Yeah, it really sucks. I'm still processing it.
Natalya squeezed her hand.
I'm so sorry. How long were you together?
Long time. We started dating in high school. I thought we were soulmates. I was such a fool. I gave up my graduate studies to stay home and raise Atticus so Jeff could get his MBA and land his dream job. And once he started moving up the food chain, he was hardly at home. After a while, we just drifted apart. Now, here I am, having to start my whole life all over again.
You regret it, don't you?
Getting married? Yes and no. If I never met Jeff, I wouldn't have Atticus.
As we say in Russia, there is no misfortune without a blessing in it.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it.
Can I be honest? I think you have a problem, Kelly.
I do?
You're too nice. I see you so clearly. The way you run around here helping everyone. You're a good person. But the sad truth is, most people are selfish shit, Kelly. Just like your ex. They take advantage of you.
Natalya shook her head.
Tell me, what is your spirit animal?
Kelly shrugged.
Mine is wolf.
Natalya studied Kelly for a moment, looking her up and down.
I'm not sure what yours is, but you're definitely prey, not the predator. Probably you are a mouse, so cute and soft and sweet. Everyone loves the little mouse. But sadly, you probably will be eaten. You need to become a wolf, Kelly, if you want to survive.
Kelly thought about that. She was both intrigued and self-conscious about what Natalya was saying. Natalya stared off for a moment, then squeezed Kelly's hands again.
Here, I want to show you something.
Natalya went over to the ornate wooden box on the table. She unlocked the latch and opened the door to reveal a pair of red ballet shoes. They were gorgeous, dark red, silken. They almost seemed to glow. Natalya removed the red shoes from the wooden box and held them out to Kelly.
Oh my God, those are gorgeous.
You not recognize them? They are my grandmother's old ballet slippers, remember?
Wow, they look amazing.
Yes, I had them restored. I want to show you a piece I've been working on. No one has seen it except for Dmitriy, and he talks shit because he wants to live in the past. I need honest feedback. Please, can you help me?
I don't know anything about dance.
Don't worry about technical critique. Just tell me what you think. I trust you.
All right.
Natalya smiled. She turned down the lights so the apartment was dimly lit. She slipped on the red ballet slippers. Natalya clicked a remote and tossed it aside. An intro to a hip-hop song rose on the stereo. She took up a traditional ballet pose in the middle of the room. The beat dropped, and Natalya dropped with it. Her dance was inspired, infectious, and brilliant. It was a mixture of traditional ballet and hip-hop. The red shoes seemed to have a mind of their own at times, leading her through the acrobatic movements. Kelly was awestruck. As the song came to an end, Natalya ended in a pose like a dying swan.
Is it okay?
Okay? That was fucking incredible!
Really? You not just say this to make Natalya happy.
No, I'm saying this because it's true. You are amazing.
Natalya burst into tears of joy and hugged Kelly tightly.
Thank you. That means so much to me.
Don't thank me. You're the one with all the talent.
Natalya smiled. She hugged Kelly again.
You're like sister to me, Kelly. Please don't tell landlord about all bullshit. Here, I give you something.
Natalya got up and headed for the closet in her bedroom.
You really don't have to.
Don't worry. I have so much crap that I need to get rid of. Come, pick something out.
Kelly entered the bedroom as Natalya opened her bedroom closet. It was filled with fine clothes from a variety of eras. It was quite a collection.
Holy shit!
Ha, lit, huh? Don't be shy. Take whatever you like.
I can't.
Natalya ignored her protest and gestured to a beautiful blouse.
You had your eye on this one, no? Here, take it.
Natalya reached for the blouse, but as she took it off the rack, Kelly noticed something behind it. It was a mini backpack hanging on a hook. It had little cartoon aliens on it. Kelly almost gasped. It looked like Marie's. Just then, the front door swung open. They both turned and saw Dmitriy entering, holding a bouquet of flowers. His other hand was behind his back, hiding something. White-hot rage exploded across Natalya's face. Dmitriy brought his hand from around his back. He was holding a small dog. It was an adorable Pekingese. Dmitriy set the Pekingese down on the floor. It scampered over to Natalya. Natalya tried to look stern, but she was unable to resist the little doggy. She knelt down and scooped it up in her arms. The dog licked her face. Natalya let out a small laugh. Dmitriy approached Natalya and put his arms around her, kissing her. Kelly didn't know what to do with herself. She decided it was time to get out of there. She headed for the door, but Natalya called out to her.
Wait, Kelly! Don't forget your gift!
Natalya picked the blouse off the sofa and handed it to Kelly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a wad of cash and stuffed it in Kelly's hand.
For dog. Thank you so much for giving me a shoulder to cry on.
Anytime.
Natalya hugged Kelly. Kelly faked a smile and headed out the door. Kelly approached Mrs. Horowitz's apartment, lost in thought. She looked over the railing and could see Natalya and Dmitriy playing with their little dog in the courtyard. Kelly stared at them a moment, then knocked on Miss Horowitz's door. Miss Horowitz called out.
Come in, Kelly.
Kelly entered Miss Horowitz's apartment. She was at the piano watching Atticus as he practiced.
Very good. Nice job, Atticus.
Thanks. Hey, Mom.
Hey. Sounding good, kiddo.
Miss Horowitz stood up.
We're all done. Don't forget to practice your fingering. It's very important.
I will.
Atticus, can you run on ahead? I need to talk to Miss Horowitz for a moment.
Sure. Bye, Miss H.
Bye, Addie. Good work today.
Are you all right?
Miss Horowitz cleared her throat and nodded.
I'll be fine. Now, what can I do for you?
Kelly took a breath.
I need some advice. I don't know who to talk to. I saw something today that really worries me.
What is it?
Well, you know the homeless people who camp out in the vacant lot across the street? A bunch of them have disappeared, and they think that someone is targeting them. And now Vic's daughter Marie is missing too.
Oh, yes. Vic told me.
I know this might sound crazy, but I think Natalya and Dmitriy might be involved somehow.
What makes you think that?
Keep this on the down low, but I was in their apartment today, and I saw Marie's backpack in Natalya's closet.
That's very concerning. Are you sure it was Marie's?
Not 100%. I only caught a glimpse of it, but it sure looked like hers.
Miss Horowitz furrowed her brows, thinking.
You think it's possible they just found it laying around in the garage?
Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid.
No. Don't dismiss your feelings. You're observant and you're smart. You know, I've been wondering about these two myself lately.
Really?
Miss Horowitz nodded. She went over to the window and looked out. From her vantage point, she could see Natalya and Dmitriy playing with the little dog in the courtyard.
He comes off like a wannabe thug. But there's something off about her, too. Remember how she said she trained with the Volganova Ballet Company? Well, I have a friend back in New York who was an instructor with the Volganova for many years. I asked her if she knew Natalya. She told me she never ever heard of her.
You think she made the whole story up?
Perhaps, but she isn't lying about being an elite ballerina. I get a pretty good view of her practice room when she leaves the curtains open. Natalya's one of the best dancers I've ever seen.
She did a modern dance for me today that was incredible.
Did she? It's funny. When I see her practicing wearing her red point shoes, she reminds me of Titania.
Who's that?
Oh, it's just a character from an old Russian folktale.
How does it go? Can you tell me the story?
I'm not the storyteller my grandfather was, but I'll try. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful but conceited girl, Titania. She was a peasant, but she had big dreams. She loved to dance and wanted to become the most famous ballerina in all the world. She became so obsessed with the idea that she prayed to the devil to help her. Well, the devil heard her pleas and he appeared suddenly. He made Titania an offer. In exchange for her soul, he gave her a pair of beautiful red ballet shoes. Now, these weren't ordinary shoes. They were cursed. Whenever Titania wore them, instantly she would be transformed into the most graceful, spectacular dancer in the world. But the shoes had a mind of their own. Whenever music played, the red shoes would be in control of Titania, and they would not stop dancing until the composition finished. However, that wasn't the worst part. No. You see, every time the foolish girl wore the red shoes, someone she knew would get sick and die. But Titania's hunger for fame and adoration was so great that she didn't care. She continued dancing until everyone in her village was dead.
Miss Horowitz took a sip of her tea.
I'm not boring you, am I?
Not at all. Finish your story.
Well, with everyone dead, Titania finally decided it was time to go to the big city and become famous. The devil arranged for a fancy carriage to come take her to Moscow. However, there was one person left alive in her village, a clever old Jewish fiddler. He'd figured out what was happening, and he vowed to stop Titania from killing anyone else. So the fiddler waited by the side of the road for Titania's carriage to come by. When she drove up, he bowed, offered to play a tune in her honor. Titania was flattered by his sweet words, so she put on her red shoes and told him to play. The fiddler played his tune. Titania danced, but instead of stopping after the song finished, the fiddler went right into another song and then another and another. As long as he played, Titania couldn't stop dancing. The fiddler played all day and night until his fingers were bloody and worn down to the bone. Finally, at dawn, both Titania and the fiddler dropped dead from exhaustion.
What happened to the shoes?
They burst into flame and disappeared.
Interesting story. Thank you for telling it to me.
Well, you asked. Anyway, sorry for getting you sidetracked.
Miss Horowitz gestured to Natalya and Dmitriy out the window.
What are you going to do about them?
Kelly thought about it.
I don't think I can do anything at this point.
You're probably right. If it's any help, I'll keep my eyes open. If I see anything off with them, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Kelly headed for the door.
Try not to worry, dear. I'm sure everything will be fine.
Kelly nodded and headed out. But after she left, Miss Horowitz's reassuring smile faded. She went back over the window and stared at Natalya and Dmitriy. A look of grave concern washed across her face. Later that afternoon, Atticus was working on his homework. Kelly was at her computer, filling out an online questionnaire titled, Find Your Spirit Animal. Kelly finished the last question and submitted the quiz. She waited. She was rooting for something in particular.
Wolf, wolf, wolf.
A chime sounded as the results came in. On screen were the words, You are, ... leading to a picture of a cute kitty cat.
Seriously? Well, better than a fucking mouse, I guess.
Just then, the doorbell rang. Kelly got up and answered the door. Frank was standing there, holding a little plastic bottle of eardrops.
Hey, I need you to put these in my ear. I admit it's kind of gross, but I brought you an Egg McMuffin as compensation.
Frank held up a McDonald's takeout bag.
Can we do this in your apartment? There's something I need to talk to you about. I need your opinion.
Sure.
Kelly turned to Atticus.
Hey, Addie, I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, hey, Mom.
A few moments later in Frank's apartment, Frank sat in a chair and turned his head sideways.
Put 2 drops in each ear.
Kelly looked at Frank's ear. Gray, wiry hair was growing out of them.
You're right, this is really freaking gross.
Sorry, I'm a senior citizen. Have some compassion.
Kelly put 2 drops in his ears.
So, what was it you wanted to ask me about?
I have some concerns about Natalya and Dmitriy.
Frank raised an eyebrow. Meanwhile, back in Kelly's apartment, Atticus was playing his video game. Just then there was a knock at the door. Atticus paused his game and went over to the door. He peered out through the peephole. Dmitriy was standing there. Back in Frank's apartment, him and Kelly were talking in his living room.
Are you sure it was Marie's bag?
Not completely.
Why would they attack her?
Maybe it was over drugs. They invited her up to their apartment to party and things got ugly.
You haven't said nothing to Vic?
Nope.
Good. Keep it that way, for now. What about calling the cops?
Thought about it, but they probably won't do shit unless I have solid evidence.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But I had an idea. What if I was to go in there when Natalya and Dmitriy weren't home? Then I could get a good look at that bag. Who knows, if they're up to something, I might even find other evidence in there.
Frank stared at her.
You think I'm nuts?
No, I think you need a partner.
As Kelly returned to her apartment, the sound of a video game and 2 male voices could be heard.
Addie?
Kelly walked into the living room. She saw Dmitriy sitting on the sofa with Atticus. They were playing a video game together.
Oh, hey, Mom.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly was very uncomfortable, but tried to hide it. She turned to Dmitriy.
What are you doing here?
Sorry to intrude. I come over to drop off rent, and Atticus challenged me to battle in Fortnite.
Nuh-uh. You challenged me.
Only because you brag about how incredible you are. I need to show you technique of true elite player.
Oh, you mean like this. Boom! You're dead, bro.
What the hell? You sneaky little bastard. You hide behind bush. Nice strat.
Dmitriy held his fist out to Atticus. They dapped.
Good game, bro.
You want to go again?
I'm sorry to break this up, guys, but I have some chores I need Atticus to do.
Aw, come on, Mom. Hey, can't I do them later?
Listen to your mom. She is the boss. I have things to do anyway.
Dmitriy gestured over to a wad of cash on the coffee table.
The rent is on the table for you, Kelly.
Thanks.
Dmitriy turned to Atticus.
Check you later, dude.
Later.
Dmitriy smiled and headed out the door. Kelly locked it behind him, and then she went over to Atticus.
Hey, I need to talk to you. Under no circumstances are you to let Dmitriy in here again without asking me, especially if you're alone.
Why? He seems cool.
Between you and me, there may be a problem with him and Natalya.
What kind of problem?
I can't explain everything to you right now, but I need you to trust me on this one, okay?
All right. Whatever.
Atticus went back to playing his video game. Kelly could tell he was mad at her, but she didn't know what else to say. Later that evening, Kelly was loading wet clothes into her dryer. She turned to grab a static sheet from an empty laundry basket, but she was startled to suddenly see Natalya standing there.
Oh, shit!
Natalya laughed. She was all dressed up in a sexy outfit.
Sorry, Kelly. I did not mean to scare you.
It's okay. What's up?
I want to apologize for Dmitriy barging in to play video games with Atticus today. He told me it was a little awkward when you come home.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to find him in my living room.
I know it must have looked weird, but Dmitriy, he means no harm. He just loves to play. Truth be told, he is really just a big kid inside man's body.
Natalya glanced back at Dmitriy, who was waiting by their car.
See, poor Dmitriy, he never really had childhood. His parents abused him. I'm no shrink, but I think perhaps he compensates by playing video games and collecting these stupid action doll things. Anyhow, I tell you this so you not think he's a creep. Dmitry's a bit lonely. He's just trying to relate to someone who's gamer too. But I tell him not to bother Atticus unless you are home.
Thank you.
No worries. If you ever have problem, Kelly, you can always tell me. We're like sisters.
Natalya squeezed Kelly's arm. Just then, Dmitry honked the horn of his car.
Okay, I gotta go. We're hitting the clubs tonight. Woo-hoo!
Have fun!
You know I will. Do svidania.
Do svidania.
Kelly watched Natalya drive off with Dmitry, then took out her phone and dialed a number.
Yeah.
Frank, it's on.
An hour or so later, Kelly was on her computer. Atticus walked out of the bathroom.
All right. My teeth are brushed. I'm going to bed. I'm tired.
Sounds good, kiddo. Good night.
Atticus hesitated, staring at his mother.
What?
Is something wrong?
No. Why?
You're acting kind of weird.
I am?
Atticus nodded. Kelly sighed.
You're a hard guy to fool. I can't talk about it, but I don't want you to stress. You trust me?
Atticus thought about it for a second and nodded.
Yeah, you're a badass.
Kelly chuckled a little and kissed him on the forehead.
Night, Mom.
Night.
Atticus went to his room. Kelly checked her watch. It was almost midnight. Kelly waited another hour, then walked out of her apartment and headed over to Natalya's. She took out her master key and unlocked the door and slipped quietly inside. The apartment was dark. She took out her phone and used its flashlight app, shining it around the dark space. Just then her phone vibrated. It was Frank. Kelly answered.
Hey, you in?
Yeah, I just slipped inside.
Frank was standing on the balcony of his apartment, keeping a lookout at the entrance to the garage below.
I got eyes on the street. Do what you gotta do. If I see them coming back, I'll holler at you.
Sounds good.
Frank hung up. Kelly started looking around the apartment. She shined her light across the room. Natalya's little dog was locked up in a kennel.
Shh, shush.
But the excited dog continued to yap. Kelly ignored it and headed to the back bedroom. Meanwhile, Frank sat on his balcony, holding vigil. He took a cigar out of his pocket and tried to light it. But when he flicked his lighter, it didn't ignite.
Son of a bitch.
Frank looked up and down the street. It was empty. No cars or any signs of Natalya and Dmitry. Frank dashed back in his apartment, went over to the stove, and lit his cigar from the gas flame. Just as he left, Dmitry's sports car turned onto the street, heading towards the apartment building. He drove up to the garage and pulled in unseen. Back in Natalya's apartment, Kelly entered the bedroom. She shined her light around, lighting up an impressive collection of action figures crowding shelves on Dmitry's side of the room. Kelly turned and found the closet she saw before. She opened it and peered inside. Just as before, it was filled with an eclectic collection of expensive clothes. Kelly moved some clothes aside. She found the mini backpack with the little cartoon aliens on it hanging from a hook. Kelly opened it up. It was empty, but Kelly opened up a side pocket and discovered a folded up piece of paper. Kelly unfolded it to reveal a self-portrait sketch of Marie.
Shit.
Suddenly, Kelly heard voices approaching the apartment from the hallway. She recognized Dmitry and Natalya's voices. Panic exploded across her face. She quickly rehung the mini backpack and shut the closet door. Just then, she heard keys on the front door. The door swung open. Natalya and Dmitry entered, making small talk with a attractive party girl in her 20s.
Would you like a refreshment?
Sure. What you got?
Natalya put her arms around the party girl.
Oh, I have everything your heart could ever desire.
You got blow?
Of course, darling.
Dmitry came over to them and took out a glass vial from his pocket. It was filled with white rocks. He held it up so the party girl could get a good look at it.
Fire.
Dmitriy retrieved a mirror and a razor blade from a drawer and began cutting up lines for them. Meanwhile, Natalya went over to the kennel. She unlocked the door and picked up her little dog.
Oh my god, what a cutie.
Mommy's little baby is so precious.
As Natalya and the party girl fawned over the dog, Kelly stared at them. She was hiding underneath Natalya's bed. From her vantage point, she could see everything going on in the living room. Kelly had her phone in her hand. Moving as little as possible, she started to text. At that moment, clueless to what was going on, Frank sat on his balcony, smoking his cigar, surveying the street. His phone suddenly vibrated. Frank looked at it and saw Kelly's text. It read, "Help, they home. Trapped." Frank's eyes went wide. The cigar fell from his mouth. Meanwhile, back in Natalya's apartment, Kelly watched nervously as Natalya put her little dog down on the floor so she could join the party girl and Dmitriy doing lines. The little dog looked over at Kelly, hiding under the bed. The little dog scampered up to the front of the bed, yapping at Kelly. Kelly tried to remain still, but the pooch crawled under the bed halfway and started licking her face. Kelly tried to shove the dog away, but this just made the dog mad. It started to snarl at her. Natalya looked over. She couldn't see Kelly, but she could see the back end of her dog sticking out from under her bed.
Baby, what's the matter?
Go check on him. He's probably getting into some bullshit.
Natalya got up and came towards the bedroom. Meanwhile, under the bed, the dog continued to snarl at Kelly. It bared its teeth like it was about to bite her. Kelly grabbed the nearest thing she could reach, a dirty sock, and shoved it into the dog's mouth, just as Natalya arrived in the bedroom. Natalya looked down at her little dog sticking out from underneath the bed and picked it up.
Oh, what are you doing, you little rascal?
Natalya chuckled when she saw the dirty sock in the dog's mouth.
Look, Dmitriy, baby's got one of your socks in his mouth.
Bad doggy. Bad doggy. Put him in his cage. He's going to get in the way.
Come on, baby.
Natalya took the dog over to the dog kennel and locked it inside, giving it a kiss on the forehead. Right then, the party girl did a line and shook her head like, wow.
Woo, that's good shit. I am so fucking high right now.
Natalya took a seat next to the party girl and started to play seductively with her hair.
Wonderful. You're very beautiful, you know that.
Thanks. So are you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Natalya is famous ballerina. She has performed on stages all over the world.
No shit. That's cool.
Would you like to see me dance?
Yeah, totally. But I'd like to fuck you more.
Natalya smiled and caressed her breast.
Don't worry, darling. We have all night to play.
Natalya stood up. She pulled the straps of her party dress off her shoulders and let the dress fall to the floor. She was wearing a black leotard underneath. She walked over to the ornate wooden box. She opened it up and took out the red ballet shoes. Strangely, the red ballet shoes didn't look so nice and shiny anymore. Instead of bright red, they looked pinkish and worn.
I think you need some new shoes.
You're right. The thing is, these shoes are special. They're magical. Watch carefully and you will see them transform. Soon they will be glowing like Dorothy's ruby red slippers in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, are they gonna send me over the rainbow?
Definitely.
As Natalya put on her red shoes, Dmitriy put a record on the old school turntable and dimmed the lights. From her hiding place, Kelly watched as Natalya took up a pose, gracefully extending her arm. Classical music began to play on the stereo. Kelly noticed the little dog in the kennel, and it looked scared. It cowered in its cage, trembling. As the music rose, Natalya began to dance.
Oh fuck, dude, you're actually really good.
The red shoes moved so fluidly to the music It almost seemed like they were leading Natalya along. The party girl stared at Natalya as she danced. It was almost as if she was hypnotized, like a little bird staring at a snake. But as Natalya's performance rose to a climax, she turned her back to the party girl for a moment. It was then that Kelly saw the transformation happen. A strange, unnatural glow suddenly appeared in Natalya's eyes. Her right arm, starting at the shoulder, blackened, and its texture bubbled and then became scales. The nails on her right hand had extended outward into a claw. A twisted, demonic expression washed over Natalya's face. Watching from beneath the bed, Kelly's eyes went wide with terror. She covered her mouth to suppress a scream. Natalia did a quick spin and came face to face with the party girl. The party girl's face exploded with horror and shock. She tried to let her scream, but Dmitriy grabbed her from behind, covering her mouth. Natalia slashed her throat with one quick move of her clawed hand. Blood gushed out of the party girl's neck and splattered on the floor. Natalya danced across the bloody floor. The red shoes absorbed the blood as they came into contact with it, literally sucking it up. As the shoes drank the blood, they changed color, turning bright red and glowing. They looked spectacular and brand new again. The party girl continued to writhe and struggle in the chair for a few moments, then went limp. Her arm dropped to her side. As the song came to an end, all the blood was gone, except for a few stray drops. Natalya finished her dance by swooning like a dying swan on the floor. Dmitriy clapped.
How was she?
Delicious.
Suddenly there was a loud knock at the door. Everyone jumped. Natalya and Dmitriy looked at each other. Frank suddenly called out from the other side of the door.
Natalya? Dmitriy? Hello? Listen, I know you guys are in there. You better come quick. The cops are downstairs and they said they want to talk to you.
Hey, Frank. What are you talking about? Why do the police want from us?
Fuck if I know. I was downstairs getting my mail, and they showed up at the front door. They said they've been trying to call on the intercom, but it must be broken or something because no one's answering. They asked if I knew you guys.
What did you say?
I'm not gonna lie to the cops. I said yeah. Then they told me to come and get you. You better go and see what the hell they want. Otherwise, they're coming up here, they said.
Dmitriy looked panicked. Natalya adjusted for him to be quiet.
Okay, we come now.
All right. I'll tell them you're on your way.
Natalya quickly put her party dress back on. She reached for her regular shoes, but they had some blood on them now. Natalya angrily tossed them aside and kept her red ballet slippers on. Natalya and Dmitriy quickly headed out the door. As soon as they left, Kelly crawled out from underneath the bed. She stumbled across the room in a daze. She staggered past the body of the party girl and headed quickly out the door. But in her haste, she didn't notice. She had stepped into one of the small pools of remaining blood, leaving a trail of bloody splotches behind her. Kelly rushed back into her apartment. She was so worked up that she was almost hyperventilating. She quickly dialed a number on her phone. At that moment, Frank, Dmitriy, and Natalya stood in the lobby, staring out the glass front doors, looking for cops, but there was no one there.
What the hell, bro? Where are the cops?
That's weird. I swear they were right here a second ago.
Just then, Frank's phone vibrated. He looked at the screen and saw that it was Kelly. Frank turned away from Natalya and Dmitriy and answered it.
Tami, how are you?
Frank, they killed a girl right in front of me. They cut her throat. I can't believe what I just fucking saw. Natalya's a monster.
Well, that's great, baby doll. Where are you now? At home?
Yes. I made it back, but listen to me. We have to call the police.
That's too funny.
Frank lowered his voice and whispered to Kelly.
Are you serious?
Yes! Yes!
Kelly trailed off. She was looking down, where she noticed there was bloody splotches all over the carpet from her shoes.
Oh, shit!
What's the matter?
As Frank continued with Kelly, across the lobby, Natalya eyed Frank suspiciously. Dmitriy peered out the lobby door one more time, looking up and down the street. He turned back to Natalya.
I don't see any fucking cop car.
This is bullshit. Something is off. I can smell it. Come.
Natalya headed into the stairwell. Dmitriy followed her.
Hey, don't go! The cops!
Natalya ignored Frank as she headed up the stairs.
Fuck! Kelly? Kelly!
Frank's voice could faintly be heard on the phone in Kelly's hand.
Kelly? Kelly!
But she ignored it as she shook Atticus awake.
Addie, wake up! Wake up!
Atticus's eyes fluttered open.
What's going on?
We have to go right now.
What? Why?
Kelly threw the covers aside and grabbed Atticus's baseball bat.
There's no time to explain. Get your shoes on. Hurry.
Meanwhile, at that moment, Natalya and Dmitriy trudged up the stairs.
What do you think is going on?
I don't know, but we need to clean up Stat. That fool tricked us into leaving the apartment for a reason.
They exited the stairwell and started walking down the hallway. Natalya suddenly stopped. She was looking down, where she saw a trail of blood splotches on the ground leading from her apartment to Kelly's door. A wave of emotions, hurt, anger, betrayal, washed over Natalya's face as the realization hit her.
Kelly.
Natalya clenched her fist and slammed her hand into Kelly's door, putting a dent in the wood. Just then, Natalya heard a door opening nearby. She whipped her head around and caught a glimpse of Kelly and Atticus disappearing into the back stairwell on the other side of the building. Natalya's eyes glowed like burning embers. Kelly and Atticus made their way quickly down the back stairs, headed for the garage.
I don't understand. Why did Natalya and Dmitriy want to hurt us?
Keep your voice down. I'll explain in the car. Just keep going.
Kelly and Atticus arrived at the bottom of the stairs. There was a door there marked garage. Kelly flung it open. They ran quickly to their car, but just as they arrived, Natalya suddenly stepped out from behind a car, blocking their path. Natalya grabbed Kelly. She shoved her against a concrete pillar, knocking the wind out of her. The bat fell from Kelly's hand. Natalya grabbed Kelly by the throat.
You betrayed me.
Let go of my mom!
Atticus tried to grab Natalya, but she hit him with her free hand, knocking him to the arms of Dmitriy. Dmitriy put Atticus in a headlock and covered his mouth. Natalya got in Kelly's face.
I thought we were sisters.
Kelly was able to choke out a few words.
Please don't hurt my son.
Natalya stared at Kelly, then stroked her cheek affectionately.
What choice do I have? This is your fault and not mine. I never wanted to harm you. I am a trash collector. My prey is the weak losers no one cares about. Why you have to get involved, huh? Why do you care? So foolish.
Natalya's eyes suddenly started to glow. Her hand and arm blackened as her nails extended into a claw. Kelly and Atticus's eyes went wide. Just then, across the garage, a brown paper shopping bag marked Marie dropped to the ground. Vic stood by the laundry room. From his POV, he could only see Kelly shoved up against the pillar. Atticus was obscured by a car.
Hey, what the hell are you doing over there?
Natalya's transformation stopped. Her eyes and hand turned normal again. Natalya whispered to Kelly.
Stay quiet and I let you live.
Natalya took her hand off Kelly's throat. She turned and smiled warmly at Vic.
It's all good, my friend. We are just discussing plumbing issue in my apartment. Isn't that right, Kelly?
Kelly glanced at Dmitriy squeezing Atticus's throat.
Yep.
See? Everything's fine.
The fuck it is!
He reached into his jacket and whipped out a gun and aimed it at Natalya.
Don't move!
What the hell? Are you crazy?
Shut up!
Vic glanced up at a mirror that was hanging on a pillar. In its reflection, he could see Atticus and Dmitri clearly.
I can see you behind the car, asshole! Let go of Atticus and come out with your hands up, where I can see him!
Dmitri looked at Natalya.
Son of a bitch.
Just play along, I'll take care of him.
Let me, just this once.
Don't be ridiculous.
Dmitri stepped out from behind the car, still holding Atticus.
Just relax, old man. You got this all wrong. We are all friends. Put down the gun.
Let go of the kid! Now!
Kelly looked over at Atticus and Dmitri. She saw that Dmitri had a gun tucked into the back of his pants.
Of course, anything you say.
Dmitri let go of Atticus, but he gestured subtly at him not to speak.
It's all good, bro. See, I do as you say.
Atticus moved next to Kelly. Dmitri started walking towards Vic with his hands up.
What the fuck are you doing?
You think I'm useless? Watch.
Dmitri.
Don't come any closer!
Natalya angrily gnashed her teeth. She started approaching Vic too. He repositioned his gun on her.
Stop!
With Vic distracted, Dmitri reached for his gun. Kelly cried out.
Look out, Vic! He's got a gun!
Vic and Dmitri shot at the same time. Dmitri shot went wide and blasted out a car windshield, setting off a loud car alarm. A look of confusion and pain washed over Dmitri's face. He looked down and saw a red blood stain rapidly spreading on the front of his shirt. He'd been hit in the chest. Dmitri dropped his gun and fell to his knees. He spit out a mouthful of blood and collapsed on the garage floor.
Dmitri!
Vic approached cautiously, with his gun still on Natalya.
Don't move! Put your hands up!
Natalya ignored Vic. She clutched Dmitri's prone body, sobbing uncontrollably as a pool of red blood formed around Dmitri. The red shoes sucked it up. Then, to the astonishment of everyone, Dmitri started to change. His youthful appearance disappeared as he aged rapidly, turning into an old man.
What the fuck?
Suddenly, Natalya let out a growl. Her arm turned black and her claws extended. She looked up at Vic. Her eyes were burning with pain and rage.
Holy shit!
Natalya let out an unearthly scream and pounced on Vic. She sliced his throat open and clawed at him with her hand. Vic stumbled backwards, holding his throat. Natalya jumped on top of him and started tearing him to pieces, shredding his flesh in a wild, out-of-control frenzy. Natalya was soon covered in blood, but continued to claw at Vic's dead body. The sound of running footsteps caught Natalya's attention. She whipped her head around and saw Kelly and Atticus disappearing into the stairwell. She leaped to her feet.
Kelly!
And then took off running after them. Kelly and Atticus raced up the stairs. Kelly had the baseball bat in her hands. Suddenly the door burst open 1 flight below them.
She's coming!
Natalya ran up the stairwell, screaming incoherent threats and curses at them.
Run! Run!
Kelly and Atticus reached the top floor and ran out the exit. Alerted by all the commotion, tenants started coming out of their apartments.
Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on right now?
Kelly screamed at them as she ran along the hallway.
Stay inside! Lock your doors!
Natalya suddenly exploded out of the stairwell behind them. Residents screamed and retreated back into their apartments. Natalya sprinted like a wolf. In a few strides, she was upon them. But just then, Kelly spun around and swung the bat. Natalya caught it in her bare hands and threw it aside. Natalya shoved Kelly to the ground. She grabbed Atticus by the throat with her clawed hand. She planted her foot on Kelly's chest and looked down at her. Her demonic eyes were burning with hatred.
You stupid bitch. Look what you did. Now you will pay. I will rip your son to pieces before your eyes. Then you will know my pain. Then you will know!
Natalya squeezed down Atticus's neck slowly, her claws sinking into his flesh. But just then, the sound of a live piano playing was suddenly heard. Natalya stopped. Her foot trembled. Something was holding her back. It was the music.
What's happening?
Against her will, Natalya's red slippers lifted off of Kelly's chest. Her taloned hand retracted from Atticus's throat. Natalya spun gracefully away from them and took up an opening ballet pose. She looked to her side and saw where the music was coming from. Miss Horowitz's apartment. The door was open. Miss Horowitz was at her piano, playing. Miss Horowitz looked at Natalya and sneered.
Ja, znаю ti. I know who you are. Titania Romanov, Witch of Ufa, Keeper of the Red Shoes.
Natalya threw back her head and laughed.
Pathetic old woman, do you think you can stop me?
Natalya broke free of the shoe's hold for a moment. She lunged at Miss Horowitz, but when she reached the doorway, she was thrown back, as if a force field was blocking her. Natalya looked up and saw Mrs. Horowitz's mezuzah hanging on the side of the door frame. It was glowing red hot. Natalya gnashed her teeth and then hissed at Miss Horowitz.
Hide in there. It doesn't matter. I'll rip them to pieces in front of your eyes.
We'll see, bitch.
Miss Horowitz started to play with all the passion and skill she had left in her soul. Against her will, Natalya started to dance to the music. As she moved, she lunged for Atticus, but he ducked her and scurried into Miss Horowitz's apartment. Natalya let out a howl of rage and tried to grab Kelly. The shoes pulled her into another dance position. Kelly backed up, staying just out of Natalya's reach as she led her into the stairwell.
That's it. Follow me.
Step by step, Natalya followed Kelly up the stairs and out the door that led to the rooftop. Natalya staggered across the roof, pursuing Kelly. And then suddenly, the red shoes made her go into a sprint and take a huge leap in the air. She landed on the very edge of the roof. Right at that moment, however, in Miss Horowitz's apartment, Miss Horowitz suddenly grabbed her chest and collapsed.
Miss Horowitz!
Atticus rushed to her side. On the rooftop, Natalya smiled. She had control of herself again. She looked at Kelly and laughed.
Now I have you.
Then, suddenly, piano notes rang out again. It was Atticus. He had moved Miss Horowitz's body gently to the floor and had taken up her position at the piano, playing the piece just the way she had taught him. The red shoes began to dance again. Natalya did a spin on the roof edge and went up on point. Kelly rushed her. Natalya swung at her with her clawed hand, but Kelly ducked. She crashed into her legs, knocking Natalya off the ledge. Kelly rushed to the edge of the roof and saw Natalya lying in the street below. Her body was twisted and broken. She looked like a dying swan. Natalya looked up at Kelly. There was a strangely peaceful expression on her face. She murmured,
You are not mouth.
Natalya's eyes rolled back in her head, and she died. Blood drained out of the red shoes, forming a small river into the gutter. As the red shoes drained themselves, Natalya's body shriveled up into that of an old woman, and then turned to dust and blew away in the breeze. The red shoes burst into flames and joined her in oblivion. 3 weeks later, Kelly stood next to a rented moving truck. She placed a moving box inside, next to Mrs. Horowitz's old piano. Atticus stood on the curb, waiting, alongside Frank. Natalya's little dog was on a leash that Frank was holding.
So you're sure you're gonna be okay driving this big truck all by yourself? Because I could always call a buddy of mine to be your driver.
No, I'm good, Frank, but thank you.
All right, suit yourself.
Kelly turned to Atticus.
Is that everything, Addie?
Yep, think so, Mom.
Kelly and Atticus fist-bumped each other. Kelly pulled down the back gate of the moving truck.
I hate long goodbyes, so make this quick.
Bye, Frank.
Frank got teary-eyed. He suddenly embraced Kelly.
I'm gonna miss the hell out of you. Don't be a stranger. Even though we got this fancy new job and all, don't forget about old Frankie, huh?
How could I?
At the sound of the bark, Frank looked down. Kelly's little dog was peeing on his shoes.
Ah, son of a bitch! What the hell is wrong with you? I can't believe you talked me into taking care of this mutt.
Bye, Frank.
See ya.
Frank turned and walked away, heading back into the building. Kelly and Atticus climbed into the moving truck. Kelly turned the engine on. She pulled away from the building, driving confidently.
You want to listen to some tunes or doing your own thing?
Sure, if you want.
You pick the song.
She handed Atticus her phone. He flipped through her song library and made a selection.
I'm kinda in the mood for Bach.
Kelly smiled. As the truck drove way down the street, it passed by a second-hand store. Inside the store was a 20-something girl. She walked down the aisles of junk and donated items, looking here and there. She stopped and considered an ornate wooden box that was laying on a shelf. The 20-something girl opened the box and looked inside. She turned it over looking for a price. She didn't find one, so she called out to the clerk.
Hey, mister, how much for this?
The clerk looked over, thought about it.
That is a very, very valuable antique. We just got it donated. 50.
50? Does it come with the shoes?
What shoes?
The girl lifted the ornate wooden box up to show the clerk.
These ones.
Inside the box were a pair of pinkish, worn-out ballet slippers. The clerk shrugged.
Sure, 50 with the shoes.
Sold.
The girl got her money out as she admired the pair of worn-out ballet shoes.